howdy folks, welcome back to the channel. What we have here today is a beauty of an old rig. This is a 1956 International Travelall, and well, kind of like a lot of other things that I've ended up with, this was just one that I couldn't pass up when it became available just because of exactly what it is. Now, I know what you're thinking, oh, he must really like Travelalls, and I think they're pretty cool, but the Travelall portion wasn't the part of the program that I was very interested in. What it said on the doors is what I was very interested in, because that right there is some beautiful interior Alaskan history, and that's something that I really like where I live, and I like the history of where I live. So when this thing popped up and I was able to get it, I couldn't pass it up. The story on the acquisition of this thing's kind of a long-winded one. Basically, there was a lady and her dad passed away, and he left her his lot with all his cars. But the lot wasn't really his, it belonged to the borough. And so the borough, or the city, or, you know, the governing body basically was taking the land back. All the vehicles had to go because, of course, it wasn't her land. And she needed to get everything out of there, but this rig right here, she didn't want to let go of. I was out there a few weeks ago helping a buddy move some cars he bought, and found this thing, and I really wanted it, but she didn't want to let go of it. It was last registered and driven by her dad, and then, you know, I would assume throughout her childhood and stuff, this was in her life. She said they called it their Jeepers Creepers truck, which, do with that information what you will. It's not the Jeepers Creepers truck, but, you know, if that's what they thought, I can certainly understand the sentiment behind holding on to this thing and being attached to it, and it made sense. And so I kind of let it be. Didn't do much else after she said, you know, she wanted to hold on to it. And a couple days ago, my buddy had been talking to her about some other stuff, and she put out a number on this thing, and what she wanted was too much. And I talked to my buddy and told him what I was willing to spend, and he talked to her, and, well, we got it worked out. And we came to an agreeable number, and ran out there and got this thing. It was just a debacle. Nothing short of a debacle getting this thing. It was a mess, but this thing had to be we had to duck and weave this thing through a bunch of other rigs, and I don't know if you guys can tell, but this isn't exactly a small vehicle, and it's not exactly a light vehicle. And the fact that neither rear tire will turn, and, well, there's no wind there at all, this thing really didn't want to come out. So it was a whole struggle. I want to say we got there at probably 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and we didn't leave there until like 12:30, 1 in the morning. But we got her out of there, got everything all settled up. The lady was really happy to know that it was going to somebody that was going to appreciate it, which is, you know, really great. And now I have this beautiful piece of history. This thing is complete, head to toe. It's one of the few rigs in that yard that was actually complete, which is also why I was interested in it. But, of course, like I said, the main thing is that it is an old US Smelting Refining and Mining Company truck. USSR&M. They were a big name here in interior Alaska, particularly Fairbanks. And the name USSR&M was almost synonymous with the FE company here in Alaska. And I want to say it was like US Smelting, Refining, and Mining owned the FE company, and then the FE company here in the interior ran all the gold dredges and stuff. So there's a lot to unpack there. If you know the Davidson Ditch here in the interior Alaska, that was USSR&M. The Pump House is a really famous restaurant. USSR&M built that as a pump house to pump water to their gold dredges. And then, of course, the plethora of gold dredges that I can name a ton of them. I mean, the Pedro Dredge and Chicken is still there. That used to be up here in the interior. We have the Chattanooga Gold Dredge. We have Gold Dredge number 8 in Fox. We have Dredge number 10 in Esther. There used to be a dredge. It was down in the valley on Dome Creek below Hilltop. If you guys know where the Hilltop restaurant is, that was well, Hilltop's not a restaurant anymore. It's just a fuel station now. But if you guys know where Hilltop is, there was a dredge down in there. That was these guys. There's a gold dredge down on Fairbanks Creek out by Fort Knox. That's another one of theirs. There was one it was right off of Murphy Dome here in the interior. That was another one. There's tons of gold dredges. That's a lot of iron. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of money. And this company had a lot of history right here in Fairbanks. And some of the history ties in with my 67 F250, because my 67 is an old Golden Valley Electric Association truck. USSR&M, or the FE company, built a power plant in Fairbanks on Illinois Street, and that power plant, they used to power their gold dredges, but they also sold surplus power to the city, as they had. And then eventually they sold that power plant to GVA, or Golden Valley Electric Association. And so Golden Valley Electric Association is actually in the yard where these guys were, and still downtown is the old FE company headquarters building. Some of their staff housing is still down there, and then the machine shop is still down there. So just like I said, really dense and rich history with this thing, just in what's on the doors alone. And one of the other things about this rig that I just couldn't pass up is the fact that it's a complete rig. It's not just a set of doors, because you see it all the time, and it just drives me up the wall when somebody will just yoink the doors off of something and be selling them, you know, whatever. And it's like, that's all that history from the whole vehicle's gone. Now you just have a cool wall hanger, you know. And this rig right here, she's complete. She was unit 174 for these guys. And I want to say, being a Travelall, there's no back seats in it now, but I want to say this might have been a parts expediter or something. Or it used to have back seats, and then they got taken out as time went on. Who really knows at this point in time? Like you can say with all of these old rigs, you know, if only they could talk. And if this thing could talk, I'd want to listen. But she's got a bunch of junk in the back, kind of some garbage up front. The old fellow was I guess he liked his menthols, it would seem, his Camels. And it appeared he wasn't very picky. He'd take whatever the gas station had. Old Father's Day card, I guess. Some other good stuff. I've sort of picked through here and had a look at what's in here, but I'm still looking and learning and finding things like this neat hat. I didn't see that before. That's a good hat right there. Good sock. There's two good socks. There's a pair of socks. Buddy was prepared. He listened to Lieutenant Dan. Some electrical parts. Good pair of sunglasses. Tie rod end in case you need it. Spare belt. A rainbow. Oh, a rainbow air cleaner. Classy. One of the other neat things about this rig is the fact that it has old University of Alaska parking decals from 1980 to 1982, which is kind of neat. Somebody at least went to school for 2 years. This rig was last registered in 1996, so it's hasn't been off the road too long. Well, like 30 years, but oh, my bad, 97. So even less. It's only been off the road for 28 years, but who knows what all the story is on this thing now, on why it got parked and how things went. You can see it had, at least I would say, the tailgate and that fender were either replaced or just bondoed and repainted. You can see they really went to town with the bondo on this thing. The old oil spout, we all know about those. I dig the Butterfinger box is super cool. There's some stuff. There's a Quadrajet there. There's an old Holley carb, a 4-barrel Holley, like, I don't know, 4160 or something. I'm not too up on my Holleys these days, but some neat, good little odds and ends. And then there's, as always, there's just some junk in here. But as you can see from in here, this thing's pretty complete and sound. It's not super beat up or really too rusty. There is some bad rust in the, if we unlatch the tailgate here, see she's got some pretty gnarly rust back here, to be expected. What I find cool, now that I just broke that, is this thing has a plywood floor in the back. I was laying under it earlier, rigging up chains to move this thing, and I noticed that it has a plywood floor in the back. I do also like the tailgate latches. They're real, just basic, you know, it works. She's got typical rust in the back, but all in all, I mean, it's about as solid as can be expected. This thing being in 1956, it's 70 years old, almost 70 years old, so 69 years old right now, so she's seen her fair share of days. Oh, geez, I got to enter Bill Elliott's $1 million driving challenge. And instant win game. See inside for details. Tell me more. Oh, part of it's gone. Oh, it says I'm not an instant winner anyhow. All right. Dang it. Kind of another neat little tie into Alaskan history with this thing is the old Northern Commercial Company Caterpillar oil change tag that's in the door. Northern Commercial was a huge name in Alaska and just the North in general. They had trading posts on every river in Alaska back during the gold rush and then moving forward. And they were a big name in Alaska for a long time, just selling commercial stuff. And then, of course, they started dealing Caterpillar products in 1927. And the Caterpillar thing, I mean, do I even need to say that it blew up and was a very big deal? And so eventually they did away with all their commercial sales. They had general stores and stuff like that. And eventually they did away with all that. And now NC is still in Alaska, but they're just a Caterpillar dealer now. We still have a dealership here in Fairbanks, the NC Cat dealership. And so that's another cool, just another neat little tie into Alaskan history right here. It got its oil changed on 9/17 of 1968. So, you know, she's got fresh oil in her. Just a classy interior. I was looking at this thing earlier and I mean, the light switch and stuff is just super neat. Doesn't get better than that. I think this thing might have vacuum wipers on it. I haven't confirmed yet. It does have a heater up there. And another neat thing about it, if I can maneuver my way around, is it's got an International Harvester auxiliary heater in the back, which is just, again, just some neat stuff. I wonder how the coolant is piped into this guy here, or if it might be propane, because it does have this right here. Hold switch in 5 seconds, open gas valve, release switch after 5 more seconds. So I don't know what's up with that right there. Yeah, I don't know. Just an interesting thing. Must have been a radio delete, because that might be where the radio went. I'm not 100% sure. This is an S model International. They made them 56 to 57. I've never owned one. I've never really looked at one all that close, so I'm not 100% sure what everything is or where everything goes. But like I said, given the Alaskan history and stuff, I just couldn't pass this thing up. The later 50s, they'd gone to the old man on the tractor instead of the triple diamond logo, which is, it's kind of cool to see them this old with the man on the tractor. It's just a classy logo. One day I'll get her down to the pressure washer once I get her rolling. As much of a mess as this thing was to move around to get it onto the car trailer, I didn't want to run my risk moving it more than I needed to until it's all rolling and holding wind. If I can do this one-handed, hood latch. Sort of. That kind of works. There we go. Now, as you guys can see, these trucks had sideways opening hoods, and you could actually open them from either side, depending on which side of the engine you needed to look at, which is just more and more neat things about this old rig. You get the little hood prop rod in there. There we go. It should have a Black Diamond 240 engine in it. I'm pretty sure, looking at the data tag here, said it had 100. If I can English here for a second, it said it had 111.6 horsepower, or certified net horsepower, and 131.0 certified gross horsepower. So, as I understand it, you could get the Silver Diamond or the Black Diamond in these rigs, and the Silver Diamond just had 100 horsepower, and then the Black Diamond was a little more powerful. But aside from the horsepower rating, they were basically the same engine. Some of the other things that I learned was that most of the Silver Diamonds had the Triple Diamond logo cast into the back of the block, whereas the Black Diamonds usually had the IH, you know, right there. So there's that. I would love to do a revival on this thing right now. I was hoping I could, but I was up here earlier and the starter is missing on the other side, so nothing I can make happen there for right now. So my apologies for that. I like to try and make things happen in a video if I can, but, you know, doesn't always work out. So I figured a walk around on this thing would be pretty cool anyhow. Just a cool piece of Alaskan history, and just a neat old rig, really. Still has a cowl vent on it in the mid-50s. Just some wild mix of old and new technology going on with this thing. Holley 1904 carburetor. She still has the generator on the other side, and yeah, we'll have to get into this thing some point and see what we can't figure out. I did bring a wrench up, and I was going to see if I could get onto the crank nut. If it has, yeah, because the engine at current doesn't turn. But all I might do today is throw some oil in the cylinders and see if this thing won't free up over time. When I got it there, the distributor cap was already off, so I would assume somebody was monkeying around trying to clean the points just to get this thing running back in the day, and then they never did. So it's kind of a promising sign if they thought it'd still run, but you never really can trust people too much. If I can find a starter for this thing, we'll be able to make something happen. Another cool thing I thought was kind of wild about this rig is that there is a block heater, a coolant heater. Those are pretty common. Back there is a coolant heater. Somebody double dualed up this thing on coolant heaters. And I kind of want to know how well that worked. They have them kind of wide into each other. Just weird stuff like that. I wonder what people were up to back in the day. But I'm going to pop all these plug wires off, and we'll see about throwing some oil in the cylinders at the very least. There we go. There we go. Yeah, we'll pop these plugs out and see if any of them have visible rust on them, and throw some oil in there, and hopefully we can get this thing to come around. Given it's a complete rig, we might actually have a good runner driver at some point. So I'm going to get that taken care of. I'll let you guys know how it goes. Alrighty. Well, I got all 6 spark plugs out, and we might have found the reason why this thing got parked. That's in the order that they came out. I don't know if you guys can see anything wrong with any of those. It appears that the electrode got punted off to the side, broke the porcelain, and knocked the everything out of the way on that spark plug. And if we look into the number 2 cylinder, I don't know how visible it is, but there's kind of an obstruction there. Something that's just kind of sitting there, right there. I have a feeling this thing might have punted a valve down and chucked the valve up into that spark plug, and that's what went wrong there, and that's why this thing got parked. Valve cover's held on by 3 bolts. I'm going to go ahead and pop it out of the way, and we'll see if we can't identify that issue a little further. Alrighty, we'll go ahead and give you guys a first-hand view here. If we can get around this coolant hose. Come here. No, I appear to... Oh, well. Interesting. It must just be exhaust valves have a different beehive style to them. You can see these... That must be intake, and then exhaust is like coned down. Looks really clean inside though. I can see a valve keeper sitting there though. That's not good. Let me climb up here, and it's just, yeah, just parts sitting there. My socket set, trying to make a break for the hills. Which cylinder is missing a valve keeper? I think number 2, but I can't see a valve keeper on this one. Huh. So that's a cap. That's a cap off of a valve. And then Right there is another valve keeper. Or another cap off a valve. Oh, that's fragments of a cap off of another valve. So like 2 valves maybe are missing their little caps. That appears to be one of them. Huh. This is going to require further investigation in the future. Unlike what I thought, it doesn't appear to have dropped a valve into number 2. Doesn't appear to have dropped any valves. But I don't know how the valve caps, there's a third one. I don't know how these guys are dropping down into here like that. Always a joy to find spare parts in the engine. It's a real good time. Looks really clean in here though. Hopefully whatever went wrong there is easily solvable. And whatever caused the spark plug to break isn't such a big deal, but I don't know. Guess I'll set the valve cover back on this thing for storage. I can't do a whole lot until I have a starter for this thing, and of course, upon inspection right here, right now, the engine looks fine inside. I just don't understand why there's spare parts sitting under the valve cover. And, well, we'll revisit this in the future, but figured I'd give you guys a quick tour and walk around of the old USSR&M Travelall. This here is an old Sourdough, an old mining rig. So just such a neat piece of history right here. Something that, like I said, did I need more junk? No. Could I pass it up? I really couldn't. I've never seen another USSR&M rig, and I don't think I ever really will. Maybe, but hard telling, not knowing. So hope you guys enjoyed the quick walk around, and I hope you guys are looking forward to a revival on this thing. I know I sure am. And well, we know a little more than we did, and I'll catch you guys on the next one with hopefully more updates on this old girl, and I might do a walk around on that. I know you guys are curious about that. It doesn't belong to me, it belongs to a buddy. We'll get you guys some info on that later on. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll catch you on the next one.